Hi, everyone, and welcome to Courtside with Kristy Greenberg. I'm a former sex trafficking prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, the same office that prosecuted Sean Diddy Combs. I was in court for Diddy's trial, and as his sentencing approaches, I look back on that trial with anger, disgust, and profound disappointment. I watched in court as Diddy's lawyers ran the classic sex crimes defense playbook: blame and shame Cassie Ventura, then flip the script to make Diddy the victim. The playbook doesn't surprise me. I've seen it before. What surprised me was that it worked. The jury let Diddy walk on the most serious sex crimes he was charged with, despite the overwhelming evidence against him. For all the talk about how the MeToo movement has changed the game for women, Diddy's trial was a brutal reminder of how little has changed. Victims still endure the same attacks. They face the same traumas. They have the same fears of retribution. The powerful men who commit sex crimes, they still manage to avoid the worst consequences. I don't know if justice will be served at Diddy's sentencing, but I do know that the sexist attacks on Cassie have to be called out. The first thing Diddy's lawyers did, they tried to spin this as a case about love, of all things. Defense counsel stood up in court and called Diddy and Cassie's relationship a great modern love story. Great modern love story? Diddy treated Cassie like his side chick, and he beat the hell out of her. In one message, Cassie told Diddy, "I'm not a rag doll. I'm somebody's child." That's not love. That's abuse. Second, Diddy's lawyers argued this is a case about Diddy's money. They said Cassie won. It's a slaughter. She got $30 million, $20 million from Diddy and $10 million from the hotel where Diddy beat her. Diddy's in jail. She's a winner. What was the defense getting at here? What they're trying to say is that Cassie's a gold digger, that she's greedy. She made this whole thing up for a payday. She had 30 million reasons to lie. And even after she cashed in, she was vindictive to still want to take Diddy down. But here's the problem with that narrative. Cassie didn't have 30 million reasons to lie at this trial. She didn't get a penny for testifying at that trial. She had already had her civil lawsuit settled. And let's not forget, the defense admitted Diddy beat Cassie. They admitted he's domestic violence of her. So how exactly is she a winner? Because Diddy paid to try to shut her up? That's not winning. And since we're talking about money, let me ask the real question. Why did Diddy pony up $20 million within 24 hours of Cassie filing her complaint? You really think he would pay that kind of money to someone who consented to freak-offs? He wasn't worried about domestic violence charges. The statute of limitations had already run on those. What Diddy wanted was Cassie's silence, fast, to keep her from talking to the feds. So no, this case wasn't all about the Benjamins. Third, Diddy's lawyers argued that this case was about infidelity. They said that before Diddy, Cassie had a boyfriend 10 years older than she was, that she lied to him to sneak off to Miami to be with Diddy, and that she played rapper Kid Cudi by not telling him she was still involved with Diddy, and that she lied to Diddy by not telling him about Kid Cudi. And defense argued Cassie's not naive. She's not a victim. She's leaning into the deception. She's giving it gangsta. Yes, the defense attorney actually said those words in closing. It was cringeworthy. But the defense's underlying message is clear. Cassie's a liar. She's a cheater. These defense arguments are so lame. So what if Cassie dated an older man before Diddy? Doesn't mean she's lying that Diddy beat her and forced her into freak-offs. As for Kid Cudi, Cassie said she and Diddy were on a break. But even if they weren't, so what? Diddy was with other girls the entire time he was with Cassie. So how exactly was Cassie playing Diddy? And even if she was, so what? That doesn't mean she deserved to be beaten or coerced to do freak-offs. So no, this case wasn't about infidelity. This was Diddy's defense running the oldest trick in the book, slut-shaming the victim. Fourth, Diddy's lawyers argued that Cassie matched Diddy. They were both at a certain level. that she was unafraid, strong, capable, a woman who made her own choices for her own reasons. Now, let's be clear. Diddy's lawyers weren't complimenting Cassie here. This was strategy. They wanted the jury to believe Cassie was too strong and capable to have been forced or coerced into Diddy's freak-offs. But the evidence at trial told a very different story. Cassie and Diddy weren't at the same level. He's 17 years older than she is. He was her boss. He controlled her career. He was at the top of the music industry. She had one hit song and was trying to make her way. And he monitored her every move, who she was with, where she went, what she did. He controlled everything. He took away her phone, her laptop, her car, her ability to communicate, and her freedom to leave. He did it whenever he wanted. He gave her drugs and she became addicted to opioids. He had guns. He had a security team. He beat her in front of so many other people, and nobody stopped him. He threatened to release sex tapes that she feared would ruin her career and hurt her family. Cassie is strong. She is capable. I don't doubt that after watching her testify. But in her relationship with Diddy, she was broken because Diddy broke her. She testified to that. She testified about the constant freak-offs, how they took away her self-confidence and made her feel worthless. The defense said Cassie made her own choices. Well, let's talk about these choices. The choices that she made at the Intercontinental Hotel freak-off. Cassie made the choice to leave that freak-off after Diddy gave her a black eye because she didn't want to show up to her very first movie premiere with bruises. Then Diddy made a choice to follow her, beat her viciously, and tell her that she couldn't leave. When Cassie chose freedom, Diddy chose violence. Defense counsel said she was unafraid. Unafraid? Did she look unafraid on that video to you? She looked terrified. And she wasn't the only one. Escorts, friends, singers, makeup artists, stylists, assistants, all of them testified at this trial that they saw Diddy's violence toward Cassie. Some of them were victims of his violence too. Not one of them called the police about it. Why? Because they were afraid of Diddy too. Finally, Diddy's lawyers argued that this was a case about consensual sex. They painted Cassie as a woman who just liked sex. She was intense. She was a swinger. Translation? She asked for it. She wanted it. The number one defense in any sex crimes case. The defense said there wasn't one message where she said she didn't like their sex life. Really? How about this text from Cassie to Diddy? Freak-offs aren't doing anything for me anymore. You're treating me like Ike Turner. Let's be clear. This case was never about whether Cassie enjoyed sex or a swinger's lifestyle or even consented to some freak-offs. Let's assume for the sake of argument that she did. That doesn't matter. The law says if Diddy used violence or threats just one time to force or coerce Cassie into a freak-off, that's enough for a sex trafficking conviction. We all know the one time. The Intercontinental Hotel. Cassie tried to leave a freak-off. Diddy followed her, beat her, dragged her by the hair, and told her she wasn't leaving. We heard about it from Cassie, we heard about it from the hotel security guard, and we saw it on video. The same video Diddy tried to bury by bribing hotel security. So when people ask, well, why didn't Cassie just leave? She did, and it's on video. Defense tried to spin that as a fight about a phone, not a freak-off, but that's nonsense. Diddy took Cassie's phone to prevent her from leaving the freak-off. Yeah, of course this was about a freak-off. Diddy was wearing nothing but a towel. The escort was still in the hotel room. He beat her because she left the freak-off without his permission. If that story is not enough for you, I'll give you another one. Cassie testified about a commercial flight from France to New York where Diddy played freak-off videos on his laptop for 9 hours straight in front of other passengers. Cassie begged him to stop. He didn't. Instead, he repeatedly threatened to release the sex videos to embarrass her. Shortly after that 9-hour flight from hell, Diddy demanded a freak-off. Cassie gave in, not because she wanted to. Of course she didn't want to. Who would ever want to do anything after being forced to watch 9 hours of freak-off videos? She gave in because she was scared he'd make good on his threats to release the videos. That's not consent, that's coercion. Yet the jury didn't buy it. They didn't believe that Cassie was forced or coerced into a single freak-off, even with the videos, even with the witnesses, even with text messages showing she didn't want to do freak-offs anymore. What message does that send to women? It tells women everywhere that even with overwhelming evidence, if he's rich enough, if he's powerful enough, if he is famous enough, he can still win and you can still lose. No one knows that better than Cassie. Here's what Cassie told the judge before Diddy's sentencing. If there is one thing I have learned from this experience, it is that victims and survivors will never be safe. Although I can hope for justice and accountability, I have come to not trust anything. I hope that your decision considers the truths at hand that the jury failed to see. The ball is now in the judge's court. Prosecutors are asking for 11 years in prison. Diddy's lawyers are asking for a sentence of 14 months, basically time served. The judge can and should consider any of the relevant conduct before him in determining a fair sentence, even the acquitted conduct. That includes all the violence, all the threats, all the abuse that came out at trial. He is allowed to do that under the law. And let's be clear, Diddy should spend many more years in prison. A lenient sentence would send the message that the rich, famous, and powerful are above the law. A lenient sentence would send the message to victims like Cassie that their pain doesn't matter. It's time for the judge to impose a substantial jail sentence for Diddy. It's time for him to deliver justice for Cassie and for all sex trafficking victims. Thank you for watching Courtside with Kristy Greenberg. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like it, comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next time courtside.